everyone, and welcome back to where you sometimes talk about thrillers on Thursdays. If you happen to just be coming across this video, my name is Katie, and here I talk about thriller and horror books, movies, TV shows, all that fun stuff. But I had an idea the other day because there's so much talk right now in the world about AI and ChatGPT, and I thought, what if I input my favorite books and have it recommend a book to me that maybe I have not heard of based off those books. And this is just meant to be a fun little experiment. I'm not looking for this to replace, of course, where I get my book recommendations. I'm honestly not even very hopeful this is gonna work out well. Most of my book recommendations I tend to get from either BookTube, Book Talk, or Lit Talk, whatever you want to call it, or I also love the New York Times book podcast. I create some parameters because I don't want it to just recommend a book to me that I've already read. So first I'll start off with the prompt, and then I'm gonna mention some of maybe the rules we're gonna input based on the results we get. So maybe I'll have it give me a different recommendation. So here is my prompt. I'm gonna say, here's a list of my 10 favorite books. Now to be clear, this is not actually my top 10. I just thought of 10 favorites that I really like. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, Lone Woman by Victor Lavalle, Eileen by Otessa Moshfegh, The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon, My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones, Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, The Shining by Stephen King, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix, Mary, An Awakening of Terror by Nat Cassidy, and The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. I tried to do a mix of horror and thrillers, a wide variety of kind of subgenres within horror and thrillers. And then at the end, I'm going to say, recommend me a book to read you think I would love it based on the 10 books I've listed here. Do not include a book by an author already on this list, because what I'm hoping, and again, I don't know if this is going to happen, I want it to recommend me something that maybe isn't already on my TBR. And just a couple other parameters. If it gives me a recommendation of a book that I have already read that's not on this list, I'm just going to tell it, give me a different. I'm not a big rereader, and again, I want to find something new to read. And I also want to pause and say, I'm sure there are lots of ChatGPT recommendation type videos on YouTube. I haven't seen anyone do it personally like this. This isn't technically a tag video. Do people even do those anymore? But if you're watching this video and you would like to do this idea based on this video, please feel free to just go ahead and say that I tagged you. And I would love to see other people do this. Okay, I'm getting a little bit nervous. I'm gonna start, I don't know why I'm getting nervous, but I am, but I'm gonna start screen recording so you can watch it here. Okay, I've started screen recording, and I'm paranoid I'm gonna accidentally hit enter too early or something's gonna go wrong on this. So let's cross our fingers you can see everything. But as you can see, I've entered in the prompt here. Here's my 10 favorite books. Recommend me a book you think I would love based on these 10. Let's go ahead and hit go. I'm so curious, is this gonna be a good recommendation or not? Will it be a book I've already heard of or read? Let's see. Okay, so I have read The Silent Patient, and I wasn't a fan. I don't really remember it, but I just remember, this is not going well. Okay, I'm gonna just ask it, recommend me. I'm gonna say, I have already read that one. Please recommend me a different book. Okay, let's see. I have read that one. You know what I'm realizing would have been a good idea? If I'm sure there is a way I could have downloaded all of the books from my Goodreads and imported that and, you know, told it to, but we're just working with what we've got here. This is just a fun little video. I don't know if I've read that one. Have I read this? I don't think so. The Girl Before, the psychological thriller revolves around two women living in an ultra-modern house with strict rules imposing by its mysterious architect. The story weaves their experiences together, revealing dark secrets and unexpected twists that should appeal to your taste for suspense and intricate plot. I think this is a pretty popular thriller or horror novel. So I think this is a good one that I could check out. I definitely have not read it. I think I, for a second, thought I had just because I've heard of it before vaguely, but I don't know anything about what it's about, so that's good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to, I live kind of close to a Barnes & Noble, so let's go ahead and head to Barnes & Noble. So it is the next morning. I didn't have a chance to go to the bookstore yesterday, but the Barnes & Noble that's closest to me, it said they didn't have The Girl Before online, but when I called, they said they do have it in store. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up. So So it is now a few days later. It's Sunday and I flew out to Tennessee for work because I'm presenting tomorrow. And so I started reading the book at the airport and I'm only about 40 pages in, as you could see in these clips. But I'm surprised, maybe I shouldn't say I'm surprised, but I read really mixed and or average things online. It's only 30-40 pages in, but I'm liking the two different perspectives. It's two different women moving into the same kind of very strange house during two different time periods. So it's going back and forth in time with very short little chapters. But so far I'm liking both characters, but I'm going to show you this little state park I'm in because it's very cute. This does feel like the start of a horror movie though, that I'm on a work trip alone and I'm just wandering around a state park, but I just wanted to stretch my legs. It's like 7 p.m. Before I get up early tomorrow morning, but I'm really liking it a lot. It is now the next day. It's about 12 p.m. I finished my presentation. My flight is not until 5 p.m. So I've got a little bit of time free. I still have to work a little bit, but I'm going to do a really quick tour of the Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. It is beautifully nestled in the Smoky Mountains, but I figure, especially considering I was kind of working on a Sunday and flying out, I can take an hour or two to myself. But it looks really interesting. And I should say, if you don't care about this and you just want to fast forward to the end to get to the spoiler-free book review to see if ChatGPT did a good job selecting the book, I will have timestamps down below, so you're welcome to just fast forward. But I thought I'd show this because if you're watching this channel, you probably like true crime, so I thought it'd be fun to show a little bit of this. But let's go ahead and see. Kind of bizarre. They just let you fully walk through here on your own, but it's interesting, but it's also pretty sad. Hello everyone, so it is a few days later and we're going to come back with a review of Did ChatGPT do a good job of choosing me my next favorite book? Now in my review, I'm not going to spoil the ending of this book or what happens, but I will spoil my review overall in that I hated this. So no, ChatGPT did not do a great job at selecting a book for me. I'm not saying this to be clear because videos tend to do better if the person's kind of feels more extreme one way or the other about whatever it is they're talking about or reviewing. I genuinely, for reasons I'll get into, absolutely despise the reading experience of this book. I know I already mentioned, but just briefly what this is about. Present day is Jane, and the past is Emma. It vacillates back and forth very quickly, sometimes just 2 pages at a time between their perspectives. They both have had different reasons of unfortunate life events where they feel the need to start anew, so they get the opportunity to move into a very expensive but cheap rent-wise, beautiful home that's designed by this very eccentric architect who happens to also be very attractive. And the reason they get this opportunity, even though neither of them have that much money, is because there are a lot of rules when it comes to living here. So that's why no one else wants to move in. So in present day, Jane is learning about what happened to Emma and investigating, and in the past, Emma is also investigating the past of this house, and they both, let's just say, get to know the architect who designed the place. I really don't have any pros besides the fact that the beginning of the book did suck me in. As I mentioned, it moves very quickly. You're wondering what's going to happen. You're wondering what happened to Emma in the past. I also should have said this at the beginning. I just want to give warnings for abuse, especially when it comes to relationships, issues with pregnancy, anything along those lines. Just a warning that that's handled in this book. And what I really disliked is that I thought both of those topics were not handled well, especially the topic of abuse. The only way that I can think to say this is that a lot of pieces of this book are so clearly written by a man when our two primary protagonists are women who are dealing with very challenging women's issues. I want to be clear that I'm sure, or I don't know, I'm hoping JP Delaney's a really nice guy. I don't think that he had any ill intent in writing this book. I just think if you're writing those topics, you have to do it with a lot of care. And the dissonance of those topics, and then also certain scenes where women are calling a guy, and I'm not saying the word for these scenes just because I don't want this video to get flagged, but there's a lot of women calling a guy daddy in certain scenarios, if you know what I mean. And I want to be clear, I am not a prude when it comes to reading those types of scenes in books. I love some romance. I really, really don't mind that at all. It just really did not sit well with me within the context of this book, and it's a little hard to talk about without spoiling the book itself. I also just thought the book was incredibly repetitive. I think it should have been half the length that it was. A lot of things that happened to Jane or excuse me, Emma in the past start happening to Jane in present day. And again, you're getting kind of 2-3 pages at a time going back and forth from their perspectives. And basically, the things that are happening to Jane in present day happened to Emma in the past. You're kind of seeing this vicious cycle that's happening to the people who move into this place. And I get that that's the point of the book, but it also got incredibly frustrating and boring. And I feel a little bad saying this because I know that there are probably some people watching this video who really liked this book, and I'm not saying anything negative towards you. There are a lot of books that I love that I know other people hated. I don't think this is at all a matter of someone having good taste and someone else having bad taste. I just personally, this book really did not sit well with me. What I think happened is I think ChatGPT just saw that I like thrillers, and it really just recommended a very popular, at least in terms of the number of people who've read this, the number of ratings on Goodreads. I think it just recommended a thriller. Please let me know if you've read it and your thoughts on it. I hope that I wasn't being too harsh, but now I would love to hear all from you. I'm going to copy and paste the prompt that I put into ChatGPT into the comment box below in the description of this video. I would love for you all, if you would like, to copy paste it in, and I would love to hear, based on the books that are your top 10, what it recommends to you. And please go ahead and share in the comments below, because I think that would be so interesting. I also would love to hear from you all. Do you think I should have worded my prompt differently? Do you think if I changed some things, I would have received a better result? This was a fun exercise, even though I didn't end up loving the book. And again, if you do decide to do this video, whether here or on TikTok or somewhere, I'd love if you give me a little bit of a mention. But I love you all, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.